There's a lie at the center of this story, and is told so gently that most people accept it without question. The lie is that isolation is wisdom, that safety comes from distance, that if you protect yourself long enough, you'll never have to answer for what happens outside your borders. This film looks like a superhero spectacle. Advanced technology, royal bloodlines, a hidden nation untouched by history's violence. But the experience it offers isn't triumph. It's unease, a slow awareness that power, when withheld, doesn't remain neutral. The film is Black Panther, and what it gives you, if you stay with it, isn't a fantasy of strength. It's a confrontation with what strength avoids. The story begins with a fracture, not a coronation. A secret decision made generations ago. A moment where protection was chosen over responsibility, and that choice, buried under tradition, shapes everything that follows. Wakanda presents itself as a miracle, advanced beyond the world. Untouched by colonization, its survival strategy is concealment. Hide what you have. Let the world underestimate you. Stay untouched. On the surface, this feels smart. Psychologically, it's fear refined into policy. The nation doesn't just hide its technology, it hides its empathy. Its leaders convince themselves that distance is morality, that involvement equals corruption. And over time, this belief hardens into tradition. Tradition is powerful because it removes the burden of choice. When the king dies, the system activates automatically. Rituals resume. Challenges are formalized. Power transfers smoothly. Stability is preserved. And into this structure steps T'Challa, a man raised to inherit authority, not to question it. This matters. T'Challa isn't unprepared. He's disciplined, thoughtful, earnest, but he inherits certainty without understanding its cost. He believes Wakanda's way is right because it has always worked for Wakanda. That's the blind spot. Leadership here isn't about vision. It's about maintenance. As T'Challa takes the throne, he isn't asked what he believes. He's asked whether he can protect what exists, and he answers yes, because that's what's expected. But this is where the story quietly turns. Because the world outside Wakanda isn't static. It's reacting, adapting, suffering. And Wakanda's silence doesn't go unnoticed by those who know its truth. One of those people is an outsider who understands Wakanda better than it understands itself. Not through tradition, but through absence. Through what was denied, through what was left behind. This character doesn't enter the story as a villain. He enters as a question. Why does a nation with the power to change history choose not to? That question destabilizes everything. As T'Challa navigates his early days as king, he encounters threats that seem external. Smugglers, thieves, foreign agents. But these are symptoms, not causes. The real tension is internal, between preserving a perfect image and acknowledging an imperfect reality. Wakanda's technology is breathtaking, but its psychology is brittle. It believes superiority justifies detachment. That evolution is something to be protected from the world, not shared with it. This is where the film reveals its deeper discomfort. Evolution creates responsibility, and responsibility is frightening when it threatens comfort. T'Challa is surrounded by voices that reflect different responses to power. Some believe strength should be enforced. Others believe it should be hidden. Few consider what it should repair. His closest allies support him, but even they are shaped by the same ideology. They protect Wakanda first, humanity second. The outsider challenges that hierarchy. He carries evidence of Wakanda's failure not as argument, but as identity. His anger isn't abstract. It's lived. He represents the cost of isolation, the lives left unprotected, the suffering ignored in the name of stability. What makes him dangerous isn't his violence. It's his clarity. He understands Wakanda's hypocrisy because he was shaped by it. As his presence grows, the tension shifts. This is no longer about who deserves the throne. It's about whether the throne deserves to exist as it is. T'Challa begins to feel the weight of knowledge he wasn't given growing up. He learns that Wakanda's history isn't as clean as its mythology suggests, that its greatness required sacrifice, that its silence created enemies it never planned to face. This realization doesn't immediately change him. It destabilizes him, because questioning tradition feels like betrayal when your identity is built on it. The film is careful here. It doesn't rush to T'Challa's awakening. It shows how difficult it is to see injustice when you benefit from its design, how morality becomes complicated when accountability threatens legacy. As the challenger steps closer to power, the rules of Wakanda expose their flaw. They allow strength to override wisdom. They prioritize lineage over consequence, and suddenly, the system that once ensured stability becomes a weapon against itself. This is one of the film's hidden insights. Systems designed to preserve power rarely know how to evaluate intention. When the challenger claims authority, he doesn't do it through chaos. He does it through procedure. He follows the rules more aggressively than anyone else, and that's what makes his rise so unsettling. Wakanda isn't conquered, it's outperformed. T'Challa's response isn't immediate rebellion, it's confusion, a collapse of certainty. He realizes too late that being right, according to tradition, doesn't mean being right morally. And this is where the film stops feeling like a superhero story, because the enemy isn't an alien force or an invading army. It's an ideology Wakanda created and refused to evolve. As control shifts, the nation is forced to confront what it truly values: protection or justice, stability or growth, safety or responsibility. And T'Challa, stripped of unquestioned authority, is finally forced into the role he was never trained for. Not king, but moral leader. By the end of part 1, the question is no longer who should rule Wakanda. The question is whether Wakanda as it exists deserves to remain unchanged. And the most uncomfortable realization settles in quietly. The challenger may be wrong in method, but he may not be wrong in diagnosis. That's where this part ends. Not with a battle, but with a nation forced to look at the consequences of its silence for the first time.